Hello folks, welcome back to another RPG Maker tutorial that I'm going to create hopefully, and this one I really want to make as short as possible because the events that I work on I have to actually change them really fast. There are quite a few, and well, I can't actually present the player each and every change. So this video will be hopefully a very quick one about how to handle game self switches through scripts. And well, I've learned recently a few things that when you want to close down a parallel event that has movement commands which are forced or actually backed up by a wait function, you can actually close that event, the switch of that current event, if it is a parallel event. Namely, it's not ruled by a common event. I don't know if it would act for that, but if it is a common event and you switch it off, okay, you do a blank activation like this. You say set movement route, that event, after you close its switch or switches off, and you do a blank movement route with wait, because when this would start, any other move command in the event that was shut down will also be cancelled, and you put a wait 1 frame because the map requires a every time a variable or a switch is, well, has their values changed, the map is refreshed apparently, and you would need something like this. Now if you want to take into account a game self switch, which you can't handle from one event to another event, right, through the event commands, you will require to write a script. And the script that I have learned to use by heart is, well, a bit, you have to write a few lines. Okay, so var map id. Okay, so what I want to do in here is I have to close 4 events. These 4 events, their switches, okay, I no longer need to turn them off, because what I'm doing is I'm turning on a self switch. Now this self switch is the latest page, means from left to right. You know, pages are 1 2 3 4 5, and it's always gonna be the last page. Let's actually remove this. So in this case, if I open page B and page 2 is on, page 2 will no longer be taken into account, and it will be taken into account in here, because this one is an action button, it doesn't do anything. So the point is, while any of these events that I want to change is working, the other ones will be set to this blank page so that they don't do anything, and you know, the game should theoretically be more optimized. Now in this situation I need to close these 4 events self switches. So how I'm gonna do it is, first of all, when you take into account a self switch, you need to present the game with 3 aspects. Okay, you need to tell the game what map you're currently working on, okay, what event you're targeting, namely whose event self switch you're gonna change, and the letter of the self switch. Okay, so first of all, for the map, okay, to designate the map, we're gonna create a simple variable which we'll call map id, and we're gonna use game map, okay, the library called game map, out of which we were gonna call a property of it called map id. Okay, now don't take this one and this one as being the same thing. So what this does is this checks the map id of the current map. Okay, in order to activate events, you need to be on a current map. Now in my case, this map is actually map number 20, but in your case it can be any other map. Okay, you will need this a bit later. Now you will need to say what event you want. So for that you will need to use, well, I learned it by heart the way it was. I will use a key, and this one is an array. An array means a collection of elements, and as of scripts and other things, in their situation what you want to use is the specific thing that they require. So this is basically a collection of 3 elements that are required, because it's not an array that you are creating. You have to use a pre-existing function, and the pre-existing function has 3 slots that I spoke about. So I need the first parameter, the first value to add is the map number, okay, which can be either 20 in my case, but I'd rather use map ID because, you know, it's much safer. What if it's not map 20? It's gonna fail. And then we're gonna use the ID of the event, okay, and in my case I know it's event 953, okay, and I want to turn on self switch B, okay. Now, as a good practice, let's put this one as well. Now I'm gonna create, let's actually say var key 1, okay. Okay, it's gonna put var key 2, for example, which is gonna be 4, var key 3, 5, var key 4 is gonna be 6 in here, okay. Now this is because I will need multiple events, but most importantly you only need this one to show the map, which you will load in here, okay. Now this key you're going to load into game self switches, okay, dot set value. You're going to load key, which is namely let's actually say key 1. Okay, and this one is gonna have its value set to true, okay. You can actually do this, okay, and I'm actually gonna need these, okay, 2, 3 and key 4. Now you can also load these 4 values into an array like this, and you can have, let's say, var self switch array equals key 1, key 2, key 3, key 4, right? And you know, these values you're gonna load in, I can actually delete these, and I can say for I equals let's say 0, yes, I smaller than self switch array, this current array dot length, okay, I plus plus. Now this means it will go through each of these values, okay, and then I can actually use game self switches dot set value, right, and inside of this I will actually set this one dot I, and this should be it, okay, like this should be it, okay. In this situation I need to close the 4 events. I won't handle the those event switches anymore and turn them off. I will just, you know, turn on their corresponding self switches, which is a higher priority page, like in this situation, and it means that whatever is in that specific event, that is going to be you know, disregarded. So let's see, let's actually do a quick another example, okay. So in this situation I have these two, okay, so these two have to be switched off, okay, and if these two would be to be switched off, I can actually delete all these 4 and simply create another script in which we can actually say var map id equals $game map dot map id, right. We need var key equals map id because it's this map, and then we have, let's see, it's hard mode 6. This event is 942, okay, so it's event id 942 b, okay, and we have game self switches dot set value, okay, and we just have key and true, okay. It's same if you want false, okay. If you want false, you just write false in here. Now as a last point, what do you do if you want to check if a certain event self switch is on? Well, in that case you'll actually have to copy paste this. You'll actually have to write this and this. Okay, let's actually add a semicolon in here. Okay, and if you want a conditional, you'll actually need to use the value. Okay, so you will have if conditional, and you will say game self switches dot value. Okay, and in here you're gonna add key. Okay, and if the value is true, you're gonna do your conditional. Okay, or you can actually say if it is false, right, and you do your conditional. Let's say if it is false, set this value to true, and you're gonna finish. Okay, that's it. Okay, let's say else if this is actually true, set this one to false. Okay, let's actually end this. Okay, you can actually write this, but you definitely need these two because you need the value of key to be created somewhere. Okay, now you can actually name this and this any way you want, but this and this have the same structure. Okay, map name, and you can either do it like this, or if you know the name, the number, the ID of the map, you can type it specifically, but this is much safer. And this is how you also use a self switch in inside a conditional. Now, all this being said, I'm gonna finish this video. Hopefully you've learned something new and have fun with the new knowledge. All this being said, take care of yourself. Feel free to share and, you know, spread the knowledge, guide people towards my account. Feel free to check some of the videos I have about my video game, or some of the videos I'm posting almost daily about spirituality. All this being said, happy game making, good luck ahead, take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Ferenc Board signing out.